Just something funny. Oh, hi everybody.
Hey, how you doing?
We sort of started spontaneously there because I thought as I was sitting down that there's one thing that you know you're getting old because you start making a lot more noise just doing everything.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure about that noise, but you do start making more noises just doing everything.
The oomph.
Yes.
Every single one. I've got at the moment about, 4,000 lighters in my house. Every single one represents an old man bending over going to pick up something off the beach.
So we might start, and I'll remind me at the end, I'll get the phone out and I'll take some photos, but talk about this great big turtle. It's about halfway to completion. It's looking pretty good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, they briefly, they do, this is Turtle Beach, and they do a turtle festival. We have a hatchery and...
Goes for a week?
10 days.
10 days.
Yeah, March 1st to March 10th in Thai Muang Beach. And we have a hatchery, and they let the baby turtles go in the sea on March 1st. And they throw a big 10-day festival around that, and there's a parade. And all the civic groups in town make a float for the parade, and typically that float is one of the 6 species of sea turtles, 4 of which used to nest here.
Leatherbacks.
Yeah. Leatherbacks, greens.
Green turtle. And 2 others.
But at any rate, so I said I want to the Kiwanis, the Rotary, not the Elks, school groups,
Lions.
Women's groups, the Lions, they make floats on the back of a pickup truck, typically. Some will do it in a sidecar in a samlaw. And so I was collecting all these lighters off the beach. It's the most common form of trash on the beach. And I can come back from a good walk with 200 old cigarette lighters.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I strip them down, I clean them, and I have baskets and and they're beautiful colors. The colors these are produced in are beautiful. So they are perfect for using as tiles in a mosaic. So I have shelled this turtle, which is big enough to fit on the back of a pickup truck, with probably 600 or 700 lighters at the moment.
Just think of all the cigarettes those cigarette lighters have lit.
Yeah, or other things. This is, this is household trash. It's not that all the Burmese fishermen in the Andaman Sea are throwing lighters in the ocean. This is what survives after a community dumps its trash at sea, which still India and Burma and Bangladesh still do. And most of the rest of it gets ground up eventually, but not these lighters. They're made to hold compressed gas, so they're really strong and really tough and durable.
And really plastic.
And very much plastic, and they will be there forever. They will be in the ocean forever.
So if you want to see what it looks like beyond what you've already seen, then you'll have to come to the Turtle Beach Festival next year in Thai Muang. And it's in March?
Turtle Beach.
March?
It's March 1st to March 10th. There's a big parade. They let the turtles go. And then it's 10 days of dancing and music and food and speeches by politicians and school groups.
Doing markets and stalls.
Yeah, you can buy all sorts of crap here. And I'm going to buy a bed next year. But I'm going to...
What's wrong with the bed that you have?
Well, it's
maybe I don't want to know.
It's small. It's just big enough for one person, and it's very, very hard. It's just a wooden platform and a pillow. And yeah, I'm ready for it's good for my back. I want to get a very firm mattress. But at any rate, I digress. So that's the Turtle Festival. And I'm thinking, may I introduce this? This is the premiere of this idea. I would like to host an arts festival or seminar or salon.
What's it going to be called?
I haven't a clue yet. The Turtle Beach Arts Festival. I don't know. But during those 10 days, there's a million places to stay here. You can camp in the national park. There's a little boutique hotel, a very sweet little boutique hotel. And
there's a couple of really cool Airbnbs.
Airbnbs, yes, right on the beach. And bungalows and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to have John...
You're going to host it here? In your house?
The plastic arts part of it, yes. I've got more lighters than I will ever use, so I'll offer them. Anybody an artist? You want to make a wind chimes? You want to make a mobile? You want to make a turtle? What do you want? I got 5,000. By next year, I'll have 15,000 lighters in this house in every color in the rainbow. Well, that's only 6 colors, but
Can we have a grumpy seminar?
Well, we could.
Tips to being grumpy.
John Gartland will teach poetry and prose. I'm looking for somebody to teach video production. I'll do plastic arts, and we'll just have workshops and seminars, and people will enjoy the festival while they're here, and meet other like-minded people who want to read and paint and draw and just sit on the beach and be inspired. You know, something a little different from the usual.
Well, I think that's a great idea,
Thank you.
It's less than an hour from Phuket. In fact, it's easier or faster to get from Phuket Airport to here than it is to Patong.
Yep. And it's a much more pleasant drive.
A beautiful drive.
Yeah, Phuket, it's got an airport. But at any rate, and may I now introduce these bad boys, because I want to get it off the table.
I'll come back in half an hour.
These are cuttlefish spines, which at this time of year litter the beach. This is a refrigerator magnet that says Boontongs, and this is a cuttlefish spine that says Boontongs.
And you do that with a texter and...
Turtle Beach, Thailand. I just go to the art supply store here in town and buy the press-on letters and glaze. It's all glazed, so it's strong, and you get a little stand with it, and it's a souvenir from Boontongs Beach Bar on Turtle Beach, and you can't read it because this is the one with the yellow print.
It's a bit blown out because we're sort of close to the light.
Turtle Beach, Thailand. At any rate, I'm going to start selling these on my channel.
Turn that around a little bit and might...
Yeah, I'm going to take it off.
There we go, we can see the yellow.
Once the commercial's over, I'm going to take it off the table. But at any rate, right now, and what I really want to make is branded lighters, cigarette lighters that say Boontongs and please dispose of properly.
And they'll come back, they'll end up on the beach, you'll pick them up and they'll end up on the next year's
turtle.
turtle.
Next year's turtle is going to be twice the size of this.
Well, just remember, you've got to get it out the door at some stage. So measure the door before...
Yeah, well, I'm looking for a bigger studio space in town. I am rapidly outgrowing this. Between Boontongs and giant turtles, I am rapidly filling my living space. And the smell of drying polyurethane gives me a headache late at night when I'm trying to sleep.
So there you go. There's a turtle update.
I really want this woman and her daughter who live next door to move out so I can rent that unit right next door, make that Boontong Studios, and this will just be Steve's house.
Speaking of merch, these are sort of some of your merch for your Steve Rosse channel.
T-shirts too. We're making T-shirts.
T-shirts.
We, meaning we, making T-shirts. Yeah.
Okay, so let's...
Coffee mugs, maybe? Who knows? Suggestions in the comments. Suggest.
Merch is I'll tell you what, because I used to work for an organisation that had, let's say, a lot more views than we get. And we tried merch and it was pretty much a spectacular disaster.
Yeah, well, this may be too. I console myself in it's made out of garbage I took off the beach, so I'm not really out anything.
Sure. Anyway, if we were to do merch for grumpy old men... Let's just shift your from Steve Rosse YouTube channel to Grumpy Old Men.
Oh, all right.
So what sort of...
Ducks, rubber ducks.
People had some suggestions
Branded
for the name of
rubber
the ducks. Oh, where are they?
Well, I think,
I can't even find them now. People had names for the
Grumpy
ducks.
Old Men. Tim Newton today. Right there, baby. He agrees.
Yes. I haven't used it, haven't had the need to use it very much.
I am learning discipline.
I think I'm training you quite well.
Speaking of which, that's something I want to talk about when we get there.
As soon as
when we get there, I want to talk about that.
Let's talk about training now, and then we'll get back to merch, because a lot of people did have a little bit of a go at you when you were talking about training one of your lady friends. So would you like to speak to that?
Yes. I said, well, first of all, I said I have participated in the commercial sex industry as a consumer with 7 women in 15 months. And people jumped in and said, "Oh, Steve, you're not getting laid enough. Seven encounters in 15 months." No. As I also said, when I find something I like, I go back and go back and go back, like a dog pissing on a lamppost. So it's not 7 women, or it is 7 women. It's not 7 encounters. It's many, many more than that, in my own defense. But the term training, I said, it takes me a couple visits to train a woman in what I like. Listen, we train doctors, we train lawyers, we train athletes, we train cops.
We train dogs.
Have you never we train dogs, but have you never had a woman say to you, put down the toilet seat when you're through pissing? She's training you. Have you never told a woman, don't talk to me till I've had my coffee in the morning? You're training her. We potty train our children, and we love our children. This term is not a pejorative. Okay? Don't call me a misogynist. Don't call me a chauvinist because I said I train a sexual partner. She's training me. Every woman in that industry has a list of things she won't do, and she makes sure I know from the get-go what those things are. So, again, in my own defense and self-serving somewhat, but you people are reading a lot into that single word that's not there. Context creates meaning.
If you do have any ideas for merch for Grumpy Old Men, then please send your suggestions to timnewtontoday@gmail.com.
On an unrelated and non-contentious
Yes.
subject.
Yes.
Yeah.
The sun's coming in and out. If we're looking a bit bright at certain times, we apologise for that.
Who controls the weather, right?
This is we'll talk about your book in just a
At
moment.
least it's not thundering down rain, because we'd have to stop. This tin roof, man.
Oh.
You cannot speak in here. You cannot hear when it's really raining, which it does a lot.
Well, yesterday was it? It was. I thought the sea was going to end up in here.
Yeah.
It was pretty.
Well,
pretty
I've had
windy.
these front doors repaired, and the thing still lets rain in. The doors let rain in, and I complained to Chamnan, and he said, "Yeah, well, it's like a freight train. That wind all day long, day after day, for 6 months is pushing on those doors. It's a real surprise they stay on their hinges."
I've just put in glass anyway. So this is from
Yeah, you just put glass
know.
front doors, didn't you?
William Hartz.
They're all laughing
Thanks
at you
for the
in
warning.
neighborhood.
For Steve.
Yo,
so he's
sup, Bill?
He's just missing
William.
me. We'll
Mr.
talk about the
Hartz.
book in just a moment because it's
Yeah.
the Steve Rosse show today, it appears. As a retired US boomer from the Midwest,
Damn
William
straight.
Hartz, growing up with a work ethic and an emphasis on education, which resulted me to have a decent life when I look back, now living in Thailand, by the way.
Punctuation.
I get offended when I read many negative comments on social media from millennials, Generation X and Z. And Steve's going to tell you exactly what those definitions for those terms
Kids.
are. Millennials, Generation X and Z.
Kids.
They seem to blame their life challenges onto our generation. It's all your fault, Steve. In Thailand, it goes on. This will bring us to the end of the program, I think. In Thailand, in brackets like most Asian cultures, there's respect towards their elders, whereas in the US, there seems to be negative attitude towards seniors. I can remember the boomer generation being involved with the civil rights movement, protesting the Vietnam War and initiating Earth Day. It isn't as if we were not concerned about social and environmental issues. What is your take on this, Steve? Back in brackets, note, I am automatically stereotyped as a conservative by younger Americans, though I am not. Says William Hartz, 8707. You haven't got into your YouTube settings, have you?
In settings,
William?
bud.
So, Bill, I think we can call you Bill. We know you well enough,
I hope
Bill.
you don't mind.
So, my first take on this, as you get your thoughts together, is I think in many ways, some of us, as we get older, we sort of move along the political sort of line between conservative and progressive. I think we generally move to be a little bit more conservative as we get older. When I was younger, I used to get out on the picket lines. I used to protest. I used to do the signs at home.
Yeah.
I would have been to hundreds of protests in my younger days. Can't remember half the things I was protesting about. One of them was the Vietnam War, I'm sure.
Ditto.
Now I would be less inclined to protest. Certainly here in Thailand, I would be very disinclined to protest. But yeah, sure. I think we do get a little bit more conservative as we get older.
Yeah.
Some people get way too conservative, but that's another argument. So what's your answer to the whole thing? Do you want me to read it again?
There's a very
Half an hour?
There's a very old expression. It's in memes. It's attributed to a handful of different people, but the old expression
Probably Mark Twain.
If a man is not
Talking to this, by the way.
Oh, am I not?
Yes.
If a man is not a communist at 20, he needs to have his heart examined. If he is still a communist at 30, he needs to have his head examined. So I think that is an
That's
illustration
nice.
of our accretion of a shell of conservatism.
Did you ever read the Red Book? Were you ever
Mao's?
Were you ever that left?
I'm sure I had it in college. I would have had it in my library. I don't think I ever read it, certainly not all the way. I read Marx's correspondence with Hegel in college. And
For literary reasons.
It was assigned in a class. I would point out, 1957, the year I was born, there were more Americans born in 1957 than any other year in the history of my country. So we are the boomers of the boomer generation. 57 is the peak of that, from 46 at the end of the war to 66, I think. So 57 is the peak of the boomer generation.
We're both boomers.
And I think, people living now never lived through segregation. So they take, the Civil Rights Act, because you mentioned it, William, they take it for granted. They say, well, of course, women have the right to choose. Well, of course, they think that's the way it's always been.
And that's because we went out and protested.
Right.
things.
They weren't here. They weren't watching us out there protesting. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I carried a flag in a couple war protests in Iowa City that said, it was a big fist and a red star, and it said, "Fight for Socialism, Progressive Labor Party." I had picked that flag up off the ground at my first, after where the cops would always come through and bust the thing up, and people would run and drop their signs and their flags. So I picked up that flag. I had no idea what the Progressive Labor Party was. I could not have defined to you socialism in 100 words at that time. But I was out there carrying that damn flag because it was a prop. It was a cool prop. And we were in high school. We thought we could, score with college girls if we went to the protests. That was the level of our political involvement.
There you go.
At 17.
There had to be a reason.
Yeah.
How'd you go, by the way?
No, God, no. No. I was a fat, pimply, mouthy, squirrely, nervous, anxious kid. Yeah, well, I've lost weight, but the sun, I still break out in the sun. I'm still pimply.
Really?
Oh, I've got a rosacea, and I can't buy the medication here. It's called ivermectin in a cream. And they don't sell it here. They don't sell it here. But at any rate, yeah, I think, William, it's a legit, your legit complaint. I don't think anybody ever has pegged me as conservative. I think you hear me speak for 30 seconds. This guy's left of Lenin. This guy. Yeah. And like I said, my family, in a previous episode, my family have been officers in collective bargaining units since we came to America.
It's amazing these days as you sort of read and watch these political shows and the comings and goings and all the chatter. People do call people like fascists and communists and socialists without knowing anything about what those terms actually mean. Yeah. And the conservatives, for example, in America, accuse the Democrats of being socialists.
Yeah.
You're so far off the line. American politics sits on the line sort of about here in the middle, and you've got the conservatives and the Republicans, the Democrats. But socialists are here, and the fascists are over here out of the frame.
There's very little space between the Democrat Party and the Republican Party.
So it's amazing how these terms are bandied around and people really don't have any understanding of what they are.
Social media has not improved the public discourse.
It has not.
No, people are losing civility and literacy.
Democratize media, but it's really done nothing but stain it.
Yeah, you give everybody a soapbox and everybody just tries to outshout each other, and
What?
nobody listens. So yeah, I don't know.
I don't listen.
William, I hope that somewhat answers your question. Thank you for sending it in. It's a good question.
People call me progressive. I'll sort of take that as a compliment. Thank you very much.
Progress is not a bad thing.
That was from William Hartz,
Thank
who's
you, William.
also a boomer. I'll be going over to you in just a moment so you can get one ready. Please ask Steve. Oh, another one for Steve. Steve. By the way, my name's Tim Newton, so you can ask me questions as well. I'm the star of the show.
They see you every single day.
I'm the anchor.
Yeah.
So
it is his channel, and I learn so much from this guy.
A bit of love this way would be appreciated. And if you're going to be giving pink backpacks to people, where's my pink backpack?
Ray, thank you again.
Please ask Steve who his favourite in Blackpink is. I just want to see his face.
Oh!
Who's your favourite in Blackpink?
I can't tell one from the other. They all look like every Korean teenager on TikTok. I don't know. I know there's a Thai girl in it, Thai woman in it.
Lalisa. We love she's my Blackpink favourite.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll say that too. Yeah, Lalisa.
So that's his face. If you wanted to see what his face looks like when I asked him the question. And check the eyebrows. Wow, that's the face. So you're a big fan of K-pop?
I'm a fan of popular culture. My musical taste stopped developing when I was 17. Anything after Lynyrd Skynyrd, I don't know anything about.
The Korean wave, creatively, has had a huge and profound influence on what's been happening with the entertainment world.
Yeah.
An Academy Award.
Yeah.
What's that show about? The
Parasites.
games?
Squid Game.
Squid Game.
Yeah.
Hugely
New
popular.
season coming up. I can't wait. God, I love Squid Game.
K-pop, which of course ruled the charts for the last 5 years, certainly broken through the bamboo curtain of the whitewashed pop industry, but been astonishing, the success. Bands like Blackpink, BTS. So I mean, I watch all this stuff, I consume it because it is part of media, and it's Did you touch the table?
Touch the table. I'll leave. I'm sorry.
Even he disagrees.
Kick this behind. I want you to kick this behind.
So there, I asked him about Blackpink, and there he was. Off you go. Your turn.
All right, this isn't...
What, Steve got it wrong?
No.
Oh, what a shame.
Somebody wrote in to say, do you know any successful Thai Farang couples? I've been here 4 years and never met a Thai Farang couple that wasn't based on financial gain. Dude, where are you hanging out?
Come on.
4 years and you have never met just a plain old married couple where one person's Thai, one person's Farang.
I would see 3 a day.
Oh, God, yeah. Where are you hanging out, dude? 4 years and not one?
Yeah, if you're hanging around the bars, you might get a sort of a lopsided feeling about what's going on.
And I'll bet, you could probably walk up and down Walking Street and find 3 or 4 bars that are owned by a Thai Farang couple who are in love or were once and in love. I mean,
people would argue that if they own the bar together, it may be a financial arrangement.
It may be, or it may be just a legit marriage where instead of opening a pizza parlor in Pizzanulok, they opened a bar on Walking Street. Speaking of which, George Bowman has a channel from George Pizza in Pizzanulok. He and his wife, that's not a financial thing. I mean, look on YouTube. There's plenty of couples. Julie and Pan in Phuket, they've been there forever. She used to have the only used bookstore in Phuket. I mean, dude, seriously, where are you hanging out?
Yeah. So there you go. I agree heartily. Yeah. I think you're looking in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're just looking and making assumptions.
Yes.
That
perhaps your own experience is informing your opinion.
Yes. This is from Mango Hai Chu. Been here since your first video. Was it by a pool? No. And I always look forward to grumpy old men. Hey, Steve.
Yo, sup?
No question. I'm just a fan of Steve. He makes things so I So do I, and I love turtles.
Oh, cool.
He likes you because you make things.
Making things is awesome, man.
I make a video every day.
He makes a video. Yes, he does.
Does that
he makes
count?
a video every day. And didn't you? You did from the pool. You from your standalone pool, your above ground pool. You did.
My first. I can't remember my first video. Are you talking about Tim Newton today?
Yeah.
I don't think it was by a
Every
pool.
morning at 9, folks.
Nobody wants to see me in the pool. They walked past and they said, "Oh, I'm not sure what that was, but it needed ironing."
Yeah.
Bap Way says, "Can't wait, guys. See you this weekend." Thank you very much.
Yeah. Hey, man.
Oh, got another one for Steve. During Steve's monthly 2 days of fun in Patong, does he visit any bars? If so, which? I'd like to buy him a beer.
Oh.
By the way, I'll have a soda water. Thank you very much for asking.
Yeah.
So there you go. What do you do on your, remembering the G rating,
Yeah.
what do you do on your once a month visit to Phuket?
First of all, neither Tim nor I drink alcohol. All right, you don't drink alcohol.
Correct.
I mean, if I'm having Italian, I might have a glass of red wine, a pizza, and a glass of beer. If there's a pitcher on the table, everybody's having beer. I have to have something in my stomach. I have a hyperacidic stomach, and if I just drink alcohol, it'll burn a hole right through my stomach.
Considering all the things that are wrong with you, you seem to be relatively healthy.
I know, yeah. I wouldn't touch wood, except I've been punished for that in the past.
Touch it gently.
Thank you. And I smoke a pack a day. I went through the Reagan administration, 2 packs a day, a gram of cocaine, and 12 cups of coffee every single day for 8 years.
So it has been an improvement of sorts.
Yeah. On the other hand, I've had 2 heart attacks. I have 7 stents in my coronary arteries, and the next one will kill me. What was the question? What bars do I go to? Sometimes, I went to Patong for the first time in 30 years, something like that, 30, 35 years. And it used to be my job. I'd go every week to Patong, and I'd walk up and down Soi Bangla looking for stories for my newspaper column. Now I went there for the first time, and I just walked Soi Bangla. I didn't set foot in any place. It's just it's too commercial and not quaint and charming anymore. It's just commercial. It's Disneyland.
And expensive.
And expensive. Oh my God. So I don't. But if you would like to buy me a coffee, name a beach and a coffee house. Where I go on Phuket.
This is Graham C, by the way.
Graham, thank you for the offer. I drink a ton of coffee. I still drink 6 or 8 cups of coffee.
Two
every day.
coffees.
Yeah, and so does Tim. And he lives on Phuket. You can take him out for coffee any day, Graham.
Yeah, thanks,
he
Graham.
would appreciate that.
Steve.
For the bar stuff, other than beer, because I think that's sort of where the question was going. I go to the soapy massages on Poon Pon Night Plaza downtown. That's it as far as the demi-monde goes.
There you go. Hopefully that answered your question, Graham C. Ready for your question. This person just said Theon Erob. Oh, I don't know these names. Why can't they put punctuation into names?
Yeah.
Makes it so much easier.
Theon Greyjoy.
If you had 2 ducks, you could call them Quackers and Cheese.
Wah, wah.
Thank you very much to that person who's
We've actually, I've got about about a dozen ducks over here. The house is full of toys. Yeah.
Oh, the big one hanging up there.
Yeah.
Okay, over to you.
Someone-
Over to you, Steve.
This is a very interesting and quite a good question. I really wish I'd written down the name of the person who asked it.
If it's a question about you, I'm going to walk out.
It is.
Oh.
Did you ever experience racism with your Thai spouse? Catcalls in the street.
Racism towards whom?
I guess toward me and my Thai spouse. Catcalls in the street. I guess he means like, hey, way to go, dude, you got a cute one. I don't know. I will say, my ex-wife, people used to assume that I was with a bar girl. My ex-wife was cute. She was a real cute woman. And there was a taxi driver once. I thought they were going to come to blows. We were going somewhere, some meeting. We were dressed up. It was like a Lions Club meeting or something. We were dressed. I was in a jacket and a tie, and she was in a nice dress. And the taxi driver said, it's 800 baht or something to go over here to the Metropole Hotel. And my ex-wife said, what do you mean 800 baht? It's like a 50 baht. And he said to her in Thai, "You're getting your money out of this, Farang. Why can't I?" Using gu mung pronouns instead of kun. And oh Jesus, I thought she was going to go over that seat and tear that man's lungs out. She was a really
feisty.
Yeah, she had a really bad temper. So did I. One reason we didn't work. But there's a story David Pratt wrote in the Bangkok Post, which has haunted me, and was one of the reasons I took my kids to the States to raise them. He said David Pratt was an editor and columnist at the Bangkok Post back in the 80s and 90s, and he had a real good column. It's called The Sting in journalism. A funny first-person anecdotal 1,000 words at the end of a publication. And he wrote this anecdote about he and his 16-year-old Luke son were walking down the street.
Half and half.
Yeah, biracial. And they're walking down the street in Bangkok, and a pickup truck with 8 or 10 construction workers in the back of the truck went by. And the construction workers, they stopped at a red light, and Pratt and his son were walking by, and the construction workers were shouting, "Toot, toot, toot, faggot, faggot," queer, whatever.
Charming.
Pick a derogatory term for gay people. And both he and his son didn't react. Both he and his son didn't say anything because they were so embarrassed. How awkward to be with your father and be assumed to be the lover of your father. Oh. And I read that in the Post, and I thought, I could already tell my daughter was, only about a year old at that time. But biracial children are typically gorgeous. And I thought, when she's 16, or my son, if that happened to me, I'd pick up a pipe and beat somebody to death.
I wouldn't have been far behind.
And it's, that cheap shot. It doesn't matter. If anybody thinks I'm gay or straight or gatoy or whatever they think I am, I don't give a crap. But to shout an insult in the street at somebody because you're assuming their relationship is something, I won't stand for that. And that was one of the things in my head when we went back to the States. I didn't want to face that. Yep. So thank you for that question. It's pertinent. It means something.
Before I get to the next question, and thank you for that one, you want to talk about the book, because otherwise we'll forget about it.
I am reading this week Filthy Appetites by David Young.
You talk about it, I'll hold it.
David Young been a long-time writer here in Thailand, and his books are pretty terrific. I think he's got 6 or 8. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, David. This is the most recent.
No pictures in it.
No. He's a novelist. Oh, the pictures he paints with words, though. Oh, my God, this guy can write.
There's a picture of David.
There are 3 books written in Thailand in the last 20 years that I just adore. Bangkok Days by Lawrence Osborne, The Mask Under My Face by Mithran Samandrasam, and this, I'm only about a third of the way through it, but oh God, I love this book, Filthy Appetites by David Young. It's about Thailand, it's about traditional Thailand and modern Thailand. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me very much of the Satanic Verses by
Salman
Rushdie, because it combines the ancient gods with modern movie icons, and the two worlds collide.
It says here, Thailand's ravenous ghost returns for a feast you'll never forget.
Yeah, the protagonist is a Pikrasu, and it's just a marvelous book. So if I can give a shout out, just anybody out there, the 5 people who still read books, this, if you're interested in Thailand at all, and you're interested in really good writing, I was going to write a review of this, but I've decided I'm not a good enough writer to review David's book. I've reviewed both those other books, and they're both better writers than me. But David is just, in this book, I think we've seen him, a lot of times writers, not to pick on anyone, but writers will write a series of books and their talent decreases as the books goes on. This Filthy Appetites by David Young, it's just a spectacular book.
And, of course, my book will be coming out soon, Nothing Higher Than the Piano, Life at 50 kilometres an hour.
I love it.
And you're going to review that, I'm sure.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And we'll have to keep on doing the program until I get around to writing it. And there'll be a chapter in the book about Steve Rosse.
Oh, well, of course.
Try and get one that doesn't
Everybody
talk about Steve.
should write a book about Steve Ross.
Steve. Like,
Do you want me to?
No, I've got one here. This is from Mark Beanland. Hi, Mark Beanland. Importantly, number 1014. Tim and Steve. I'm glad you got Tim's name first for once. What's your favourite TV show when you were young? Mine was Doctor Who. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Tom, what was his name? The guy who looked like an art student, the doctor who had the scarf and the big hat.
Tom. Him.
Yeah, he was my favorite. Tom Baker?
Yeah,
He was. I haven't seen them all, but I like Tom Baker.
I sort of
very much.
watched Doctor Who sometimes. I've never but mine was a science fiction show. But to you first.
Exterminate.
Yes.
Well, I have a special fondness for an old situation comedy in America called McHale's Navy, because while it was being filmed and it was on TV, my mother was dating Bill Rayner, who was the head writer for the McHale's Navy TV show.
Wow.
And we used to go to his house on the weekend. He was divorced, and he was much older than my mother, but he was divorced, and he had this big house in the hills like you see in porn movies with the pool cantilevered out over the view of Los Angeles.
Love it.
And in those days, the 1960s, a man couldn't throw a party alone. He had to have a hostess. So my mother would come, and we'd spend the weekend. She'd deal with the florists and the caterers and everybody else. And then on the party night, Saturday night, she'd put on her white gloves and her pearls and her poofy dress, and they'd put me to sleep in the guest bedroom.
Not in a veterinary sort of sense.
No.
Just put him down.
No.
Oh, no, that's even worse.
They'd say, go to bed.
Go to bed, yes.
And then all the guests would arrive, and the guests would come to the bedroom to put their coats on the other bed in the guest bedroom. So I had conversations with Ernest Borgnine, Tim Conway, Carl Ballantyne was my favorite.
I think we have heard the story before.
Have you?
I think we have.
Yeah, well, anyway, that's my favorite TV show.
McHale's Navy?
McHale's Navy.
I did enjoy it.
And then Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Buffy saved my life.
So roughly...
That's a story for another time.
When did they make PT 69, 79?
PT... Oh.
I think it was PT
Because
79.
Kennedy's was 79.
Oh, okay. I got
And that's why they were in a PT boat, because John F. Kennedy famously was cut in half. His boat was cut in half by a Japanese destroyer. He was the captain of a PT boat in 79. So the movie about that is called PT 79.
Which years was McHale's Navy written?
66 to 69, I think. 67 to 69.
Was it ever in colour? I only saw it in black and white.
No, it was only in black and white. And boy, you talk about non-PC, the little Japanese character in that. Oh, yeah. Just as offensive as that.
What's his name?
Pat Morita?
Pat Morita, who used to play all the Japanese characters.
Wax on, wax off.
Right.
Oh, and Happy Days. Pat Morita was on Happy Days.
Yes. Yeah, and of course, famously on, the Karate Kid. At the theme song for Karate Kid 2, my group back in 2000 re-recorded it. Glory of Love.
Oh.
Anyway,
that's something.
We digress.
Did you tell us your favorite TV show?
My favourite TV show was called... Oh, I'm going to sound such a dork. It was called UFO.
Why change now?
Did you ever see UFO?
No.
Now, this is probably a bit more of a British thing, but were you aware of the Thunderbirds?
Yes.
Right, because the Thunderbirds was created by a man called Jerry Anderson.
Right, yeah.
And his wife,
with
Sylvia.
7 or 8 other similar shows, yeah.
And she used to do the voice of Lady Penelope.
Oh, yes, Lady Penelope.
And I loved the Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
And I used to watch it every Saturday morning between like 6 and 7 a.m. because I always used to get up early in the morning. And even now, occasionally, I'll sit and watch an episode of the Thunderbirds, or the 1996 version of it called Team America, where the writers of South Park decided to do a takeoff of the Thunderbirds. That was
Mark and Trey.
Oh my goodness, that's funny.
Yeah, you want to know something?
Anyway, I haven't finished, but go on. Keep going.
No. You go on.
So UFO was from Jerry Anderson, but they decided to use real life actors in the day where they were real life actors, not AI characters. And it was all about this secret organisation called Shadow. secret headquarters for Alien Defense Organization or something like
Or
that.
whatever, OW.
And it was set under a film studio, so they could sort of get away with, strange things going on. And it wasn't terribly successful. But I was going to boarding school at the time. And my boarding school, we were only allowed to watch TV for 1 hour a day. It was between 5 and 6 o'clock, just before we had dinner. And we all used to gather around in the dining room. We all had to set the tables, of course. It was quite Dickensian. And we'd sit down and we'd watch TV, and there were only 4 channels to watch. And as it happened, this show I really enjoyed. Nobody else used to like it. But we had a sort of an old black and white TV and an antenna. And the only station it picked up was this channel that had the show called UFO, which I think I was the only one sort of glued to it. But to watch it well, we used to have to put the antenna sort of in such a way, and then we had to move the chairs around the room because they all had steel legs, and they all had an effect on the picture. So I said, you just move back a little bit. No, you just move a bit closer. Well, I just need to move over here. And so it would all be sort of 5 o'clock shuffling around the chairs to get the good picture to watch UFO. And if you type in UFO, Jerry Anderson or something, you'll be able to see it. And they had these gorgeous women who were on the moon base with purple, you'd love it, with the purple wigs. And they were most amazing figures. Shot in the early 70s, very 70s-esque.
Go-go boots, mini skirts.
Oh yeah, the whole thing.
Because that's what every astronaut wears. Yeah.
Exactly.
My video that drops this week features clips from both Thunderbirds and Team America.
Wow.
It's interesting that you mentioned that. I just for this week.
Copyright, monetization.
Oddly, because I made sure to put it on YouTube already as a private publish, just to let it go through the copyright check early, so if there was a problem, I could correct it. I redid the credits of the show because my show is with little figures on tiny little sets, and just like all those other shows. So I redid the credits just because I had extra time this week, and there's clips from Gumby and Team America and Kukla, Fran and Ollie and Pee-wee's Playhouse and all these other shows that use little mannequins and dolls. And we have never mentioned Thunderbirds between us or Team America, and the week we do is the week they appear in my show.
Wow. If you haven't seen the Thunderbirds or Team America, you're missing out on just amazing cultural experiences, especially Team America.
What the Andersons did, and they were working with dollhouse furniture and stuff they could buy at the local hardware store. And they made these amazing sets and these amazing props and these cars that flew through the air and moonscapes. And it's just what they did on a shoestring budget for children.
Literally string.
Yeah, they're marionettes. And their jaws go like this. And they're just great fun to watch. Thunderbird Supercar, Stingray,
Fireball XL5.
Yeah, Fireball XL5. There were 7 or 8 shows that the Andersons
Captain Scarlet.
did. Captain Scarlet, yeah, with those funny
Don't touch the table.
Those funny peaked hats. They look like bishops. All the in Captain Scarlet, all the crew, they're flying their spaceships, and all their spaceships have really high ceilings because their uniform caps are these big tall cones on the tops of their heads.
But yeah, UFO was mine, and McHale's Navy was yours.
Yep.
I enjoyed McHale's Navy. Very
I'll stop.
mid-60s.
Yeah.
So that was mine. Have you got another one?
Oh, yeah.
Steve puts his password in.
Anybody remember my PIN? Listen, I'm going to tell you all my PINs, so if I forget, I can... All right, you ready? It's four numbers.
Just talk amongst yourselves while Steve's finding a question. Scroll. You've got a touch screen?
Yes.
You are so lucky.
You know what? I think we've exhausted... I had an anecdote, but it ends with the F-bomb, so I'm not going to tell it because I want to be nice to YouTube. I want YouTube to be nice to us, so I'm not going to tell that one. So no, I've exhausted my
Sam
story.
from Valley Center.
Sam.
Spelt with an ER, so I assume you're from the US.
Sup, dude?
What part of America... What am I saying? What part of Phuket Island are you both at? Well, I've got some bad news for you. We're not on Phuket at the moment. I live in the middle of Phuket, in a town in the middle of Phuket, and Steve lives off Phuket. So there you go. There is a certain thing called privacy. Not that you've been very successful at that.
I live in Tai Muang Beach. It's in Phang Nga province, just about half hour north of the bridge.
This person obviously hasn't watched the last couple of weeks, and his name is What Happened in the World 6, and says Steve seems similar to that Eugene Levy actor from American Pie films.
Yeah.
We did make this comment about 2 weeks ago.
We talked about Schitt's Creek for about 2 hours.
Which is spelled SCHITT
apostrophe
S.
YouTube.
How was Steve's visa extension? Mind your own business.
Yeah.
What is Steve's? Oh, Steve. No, I'm not going to read that one out. Question for you both. How did you two meet up? I think we've addressed that one in last week's program with the Bangkok sauna or the Mexican prison.
Yeah.
You'd make up your own story. I'm coming to Thailand in late October, says handsome man. I can't read it. And would like to know if Thai people still expect a farang to wear a face mask in public transport or a shopping mall. I've watched a recent video from Bangkok where a lot of people seem to be wearing them, but I guess it could be because of the pollution as well.
Or they got a cold, dude. They've been wearing masks in Asia forever.
Yeah, that.
Jesus, I hate this conversation.
Yeah, people did they did get very lemon-lipped during COVID about people wearing masks.
Yeah, that was then. But before and after COVID, people who have have a communicable disease will wear a mask when they get on the bus. You don't have to worry about it unless you're sniffling and sneezing, then put on a mask.
Yeah. I do, and I would if I have a cold or something.
Yeah.
And as far as the pollution's concerned, those face masks, which stop you sneezing over everybody,
they won't stop pollution.
Aren't very good at stopping air pollution coming in.
And you'll see, I think, the girls at 7-Eleven, I think, will wear these masks now forever.
They still do.
Yeah, sure, and they will, because anybody working in a high public contact place now understands that they're at risk. Bus drivers, 7-Eleven clerks, they never thought about it before, that everybody coming in is breathing on them and you don't know what this guy's got. Now they think about it, and it's not uncomfortable to wear a mask. So, you forget you've got it on. I don't know how many times at work, as I wore a mask for 20 years. I worked in hospitals for 20 years. And I'd go outside to the smoking area, and I'd stick a cigarette in my mouth, and I'd still be wearing my mask, because I just forgot. You just forget it's on.
Put a little hole in the mask.
Yeah. Sure. There you go. But at any rate, listen, dude, if you don't want to wear a mask, don't wear a mask.
You don't have to.
No.
And you're not expected to.
No.
But if you do have a cold or something that you
it's
could...
polite.
Just put one on. We're going to get comments about that, you know that.
Fine.
Duck name says Gary Sleth. Duck name, could I suggest aromatic crispy?
Aromatic crispy duck off a menu at a Chinese restaurant?
Sir Silly Billy, our final comment today, our final question. I've asked already, let's see if you pick me. We've picked you, Silly Billy. So you can send your check, make it out to Tim Newton, care of Tim Newton today, and I'll make sure Steve gets his 10%. Did you experience any issues with Bangkok belly, which I suppose is the same as Bali belly, the polite form of saying the runs?
Oh.
Or has your body adapted over time, or do you just avoid eating certain foods? Regards, Sir Silly Billy. So, how's your tummy gone? With, or belly as they say in the US, with Thai food, and have you had Bangkok belly or Thai Muang belly?
No, I've had loose stools a couple times. I've only been here 15 months. So what? This is, what do you call, what, Bangkok belly is better?
Say diarrhea or something.
Well, diarrhea is a common expression. Loose stools is the medical expression. I don't know. I think, part of it's age, part of it's nerves. When I was going through my divorce, if this is not too much information, but you asked, dude, my baseline was 6 or 7 bowel movements a day. And that was due to the stress of the
so
divorce.
You had stress diarrhea.
Yeah. And as soon as I'd eat anything, as soon as I drank a cup of coffee, to the bathroom.
Nasty.
For 3 years.
Okay.
So I think, when I do experience a change in my digestion, I don't immediately think food. But even if it is, I eat at the same, 10 restaurants on Turtle Beach every day, month after month.
I've
never had any real problems.
I'm thinking back over my 12 or 13 years in Thailand, the only 2 times I have had Bangkok belly, Bali belly, whatever you want to call it. Shits.
Spelled SCHITT'.
Yes. Was when I had pizza, strangely enough. So which certainly isn't Thai.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think... I think most of the time when people do get these digestive sort of loose stools and stuff, it's mostly because the food is unfamiliar to them, or perhaps they've had a bit too much spice,
yes,
or they may be... It could be the MSG, or it could be the chili, or who knows.
Or simply schedule. Your first few days here, your body is going to think you're still home. And whatever time you normally have your daily bowel movement at home, your body is going to want to do that here. That may be 2 a.m.
Excuse me for a moment.
And it may,
Talk amongst yourselves.
While he's gone. Christ, can you believe he wore that shirt?
I'm back.
I can do... And as I was saying, you knead the dough thoroughly and then let it rise for an hour.
So you're making the pizza that gave me the runs. So I don't think the street food is generally very safe.
Yeah.
If it looks like it's been sitting out there all day, perhaps go to the next one. But I've never had any problems with the street food. Touch wood, I generally haven't had problems with any Thai food. I avoid the spiciest food. So I don't think it's much of a problem, or shouldn't be.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It never has been for me.
So that's our answer.
Yeah.
And with that, we thank the duck. We thank you.
Thank you very much.
I thank you.
Thank you,
we
Tim,
wouldn't have had
always.
a show without you today because everybody wanted to know about Steve. So obviously you're much more important, more interesting than I am.
The channel is Tim Newton Today, folks, and I learn something from him every single time.
But I'll get over it. And
acting.
Steve Rosse, with an E, is the YouTube channel if you'd like Steve playing with dolls, walking along the beach, sticking old cigarette lighters onto a turtle.
Do please take a picture before you leave, so they see what we're talking about.
No. I'm going to do a full video. Don't you worry about
All
that.
Right, cool.
And thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel because that's what you meant to do on YouTube.
Yeah.
You meant to click the like button and
subscribe.
I think we said all that.
And share.
And 1 bowel movement a day. And be good to your mother. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thank you. I love you guys.